at the moment. I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Savard-Tremblay.
Est-ce qu'on m'entend bien comme ça?
Can you hear me like this? Can you hear me okay? I just want to be sure that the new technology is working. You never know. There's sort of an echo. Is that normal? Okay, no problem. So listen, I would like to bring forward a motion that will be had at our meeting, and I would like it to be dealt with immediately as well. I'll read it out. Whereas the committee asked the Canada Border Services Agency to produce documents concerning its new management system, CARM, and seeing as the 15 to 20-day timeline to produce the documents has expired, and so far the committee has not received all the information that it requested from the Canada Border Services Agency, whereas witnesses in front of the committee expressed concerns about the new CARM of the agency, and that the new computer system for registration for implementation of the CRM is to enter into effect on May 13th, 2024, whereas the committee received a brief signed by organizations and associations concerned that doubt the ability of the organization to bring in its CARM system within the timeline plan. Considering the above, the committee considers that the agency's CRM system is not up to date and that they should delay their implementation date.
Okay, thank you very much. And you would like us to deal with the motion immediately, correct? All right. Any debate, Mr. Seaback?
So I want to say that two things. One, I support the motion. I do want to briefly raise the letter that we received on April 8th from the group, including the Canadian Association of Importers and Exporters, U.S. Chambers of Commerce, Canadian Produce Marketing Association. So it's like, I don't know how many of those are, 10 or 12 or 15 organizations. The critical thing about what this letter says is that they watched the meetings that took place at the committee. They then received information from CBSA that contradicts the statements that CBSA made before the committee. This is a damning indictment of the performance and the behavior of CBSA before this committee. And when you look at this document, you can see that all in scope software tests completed, they're at 1% of transaction volume. This system is nowhere near ready to launch. I found CBSA, when they were here at committee, to be evasive, in like pulling teeth to get a simple answer to a simple question. And I think it's because of exactly what's been pointed out in this report. This is an incredibly serious situation. So I support the motion 100%, but I would like to know if Mr. Savard-Tremblay is open to a friendly amendment where I would add a clause 5 that just simply says, and this be reported to the House.
Oui, je suis d'accord avec la proposition.
Yes, I agree with the motion.
Mr. Seydoux?
Yes, Madam Chair. I think, look, this motion is brand new to a lot of us. Can we ask for a quick suspension so we can discuss? Thank you.
Makes sense. Okay, we will suspend for a few minutes. Tremblay. It is open for discussion at this point. Is there anyone that wants to discuss it further? Okay, Mr. Sidhu?
Thank
Or
you.
Ms. Fortier, which one of you? I'm
Let me
sorry.
start, so I just want to put my name on the list.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, this is a very important study that we're doing on CARM. We heard from a wide array of witnesses that spoke to the implementation of CARM, the way shipments are released and cleared through customs, and the accounting side to it at the end of the day is where CARM comes into force. And so we heard about the Big Bang date coming up very soon on May 13th, and the importance of perhaps more testing, working more with industry to see how we can do a phase-in implementation. We were supposed to be discussing a report today. I know we're waiting on documents from CBSA. There's a lot of pages, hundreds of pages that need to be translated, and I know my colleague will get into that, but I think, look, I hear you. I hear the industry. We know the concerns, and we want to make sure we work with industry because we don't want to impact trade. At the end of the day, we want to make sure trade flows through our borders. It doesn't impact our economy, jobs on the ground, and so, you know, speaking to that, we are doing that valuable work, and today we're supposed to discuss the interim report and come back to the House. But, you know, to this study, it's important to note that, you know, this was based on the Attorney General reports for over a decade now. And this is a CARM program that was put forward by governments before us, that was funded by governments before us. We know we need to come to it because it ensures that the Treasury is protected and duties and taxes are accounted for in the appropriate manners. But Madam Chair, I think we need to talk about this motion a little bit more in terms of the impacts it could have to our study.
Ms. Fortier and then Mr. Seeback.
C'est quoi le parfait? Alors, ça fonctionne?
Is it working? Thank you, Madam Chair. For my part, it's just a question. Is it okay? All right. So one of the questions that concerns me still, when motions are brought forward for the production of documents, you always have to expect that document production will, of course, result in the committee clerk being able to receive those documents in both official languages. And the concerns I have is that when we ask for 25,000 pages to be translated, of course, that cannot be done in 2 weeks. It takes many days to complete. So I think we have that concern as well. And I'm not prepared to receive that in only one of the 2 official languages for those documents to evaluate whether they're the right ones or not. When a request is made in a motion, it should be in both official languages. So we have to live with the issue that it's not possible to translate 25,000 pages in the space of the number of days that were set in the motion. And we now know that because I think that the clerk perhaps has more information about how many documents she's already received, or those that are in both official languages. But I've been hearing from the department that there are 25,000 pages, and that's a great concern to me, so that it will be difficult for us to be able to get the documents on time to be able to continue our analysis. And I think that my colleague, MP Seydoux, brought forward the fact that that the department arranged it so that measures were taken, including interim measures. And I think that when we had the members of the department that explained that measures were brought in to make sure that there would be a proper implementation of the program, which it's been now 10 years that this program has been put forward by the government. I understand the concerns of the industry, and I think we have to take that into account, and also other ways for the committee. Of course, we can raise flags without nevertheless expecting that we're going to be able to necessarily get all the documents very quickly. Thank you.
Mr. Seeback.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It would appear now that the speaking list is exhausted, so I'd like us to call the question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And look, yes, we can rush to this motion, but I think what's at stake here is the testimony we heard from witnesses, and we really wanted to make sure that report is given to the House because there could be good recommendations coming from the analyst on the testimony that we heard in terms of what industry expects from this CARM implementation. We know it has to come one day, but when we look at the way things are done, the testing environment we heard from the CBSA, and I'm sure I think they've reached out to many of our members here on this committee to ask if we want to test out the system. And I think that's something that we should look at very carefully to see, hey, look, if you guys want to test it out, we should go and look at the systems that the import community will be using. But again, coming back to the witness testimony, this is the right way to do it. The motion at hand, I want to put this on record, will take away from government legislation. We can do take note debates. We can discuss it here in committee. The urgency is definitely there. People watching at home know there's urgency. I've received many comments of the witnesses that we've heard from today, not today, but during the committee study. And so those witnesses do appreciate the time coming to speak to this committee, but they do want to see something come out of it. And a report would be something to speak to the witnesses' time that they've spent on this important CARM implementation. And it shows that we appreciate their knowledge from the industry, and we appreciate their testimony on this important study. And so I think, look, this motion may not be the correct way to do it. We have a study ahead of us. We were supposed to be discussing an interim report. That interim report was then, would come out with recommendations of what we've heard from witness testimony and what members here say. So I don't know if this is the right approach. I don't agree with taking away government House business to do a side motion on this. We're already spending time here in this committee. We're showing that we're committed to working with industry to make sure that CARM is implemented in the most appropriate way. And, we're showing a willingness from all sides. We're all singing from the same hymn book about some of our concerns, and we want to make sure we're there to support industry.
Mr. Savard-Tremblay, then I have Fortier, Miao, and Sheehan.
Je suis.
Well, I fully agree with many of the arguments that we have heard from our friends across the way, that we have to be careful, take our time, and have the documents in front of us. And this is why I invite you to immediately vote in favor of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fortier?
Can you repeat it, what we're voting on, please?
I'm sorry, say that again. I didn't hear you.
Can you repeat what we're voting on, please?
That
The motion, the member's
We would be
motion?
voting on the motion by
His
Mr.
motion.
Savard-Tremblay that the committee report to the House of Commons.
No, it wasn't an amendment, it was a motion, just to make sure. So no.
Okay, all right. Mr. Miao?
Doing a vote right now, or?
No, you're not voting. I had you on the, I thought you
okay.
had your hand to speak.
Well, I think this is definitely something that is important for us to find a way to move forward, and understanding the concern we see from the letter and through our witnesses that came into the study. We should be, reviewing the interim report right now, and let's get the actual software tested. Like, let's run it through and see where the flaw is, and then eventually we're going to move forward with this, right? Because it has been decades with the planning process of this, and I understand that we are coming to a very tight timeline right now, and that's why it's important for us to get this going, and then have an implementation plan. If in case something does happen, let's find a way to resolve it, right? That's all.
Okay. Mr. Sheehan?
Comments that Manny has made in this. I think it's just order of things. We want to address the issues that we heard in the testimony. And I do think that we need to roll up our sleeves and delve back into the what we were going to do today as well, because it's kind of like, hard to do one without the other. And so I think we really, really should roll up our sleeves, get into that sort of report, and then address this after that, because that's what we came here to do, and it's 20 after 4. I think we could get a lot of work done if we went after this report and then address the resolution.
Speakers
any-
list is exhausted.
Everybody has the motion in front of them? All right, no further discussion. We'll have a recorded vote on this.
Mr. Arya?
Wait, hold on.
This is the motion as, it was a friendly amendment. Right, so this is the motion as amended.
Yeah, it already indicated going to the House anyway, but you did move an amendment earlier, if you wanted to stipulate that in here, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure it's on. As amended, because it was a friendly amendment that was accepted.
Yes, it was. Okay.
Clerk could read it
I'm going to
again.
read the whole thing then. That the committee report to the House of Commons that he has not yet received documents requested from the Canadian Border Service Agency, which are necessary for this study. That it considers that the concerns raised by witnesses regarding the CBSA assessment and revenue management system, particularly in the brief dated April 8, 2024, signed by 19 concerned citizens, organizations, are sufficient to call for caution, that the effects to be anticipated in the event of a failure in the implementation of the GCRA could not be identified with sufficient precision and certainty, and that consequently the committee recommends that the House of Commons ask the government to suspend the implementation of CARM system scheduled for May 13th until the Standing Committee on International Trade can complete its study and table a final report containing its observations and recommendations. And there was an amendment moved by Mr. Seaback that this be reported back to the House. Yes, okay. All right. Okay, we're ready for that? Okay. Yeah,
On avait commencé le vote déjà, en fait.
we're
We
gonna-
had already started to vote.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Arya? Yes. Madame Fortier?
Oui.
Mr. Miao?
Yes.
Mr. Sidhu?
Abstain.
Mr. Sheehan?
Oui.
Mr. Baltinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Genereux?
Yes.
Monsieur Martel?
Yes.
Mr. Seaback?
Yes.
Monsieur Savard-Tremblay?
Oui.
Mr. Cannings?
Yes.
It carries. It carries.
Madame la Présidente, j'ai une
Madam
question.
Chair, I have a question because it was too late. The vote had already started, but I was wondering whether there would be some way to at least inform the House that there were 25,000 pages to be translated, because the information about the number of pages was not mentioned that had to be translated. I think it's important for that to be mentioned. I don't know if there's some way to add that in, but I think it would be important for those people to be aware that there were 25,000 pages to be translated.
You could say that in a motion and put it on the table, and we can vote on it. If you wanted to stipulate that the committee is waiting for 25,000 pages to be translated, and the date that was set down at the previous meeting was not achievable to begin with.
There is also the option for a dissenting supplementary opinion.
Or you can do a dissenting or supplementary opinion. Do you want to just move that in a motion? I mean, I don't think anybody's going to vote against it, because the reality
I
is...
would really like
there
to
were
put it as
25,000
a motion. I
pages.
just don't have it written down, but I think it's important to inform Canadians that there were.
Madame la...
But it,
I don't.
why, I just,
Okay, hold on.
Parce que là, il n'y a même pas d'interprétation, c'est en train de...
There's no interpretation, and there's a two-way debate going. Could you please recognize people? I'd also like to speak, but I'll wait till she finishes speaking.
But the reality is, when committee passed the motion to have all of those documents done, we all would have known there was no way that it was going to get all done, prepared, translated, and then the committee have time to read it and expect us to be able to, committee to be able to do this work today. I mean, it was impractical to begin with, but regardless, the motion's passed, so that's where we are right now. Okay? So now, where do we go from here? Yeah, Mr. Sidhu.
So are we going to go back to the interim report? Because, I mean, what we're trying to do here is figure out what's best for the industry. So, I mean, this motion, fine, we've gotten through it, but what's next? Are we going to go back to our interim report so the analysts can speak to it? We can hear what the recommendations are and move forward because, like, I would, unless we have something else to discuss, other motions on the table. But.
Supposed to do today? So let's get to it. Right? Well, we have to go back in camera. Okay, so I will move that we we suspend until we go back in camera and deal with the draft report that we got ahead of it.
Okay.
Well, when you present motions, everybody has to have a chance to absorb them and consider them and the implications of them. So we're going to suspend until we can get back in camera.